Hello, everybody. Welcome. How's it going today? My name is Mike Olis. I'm the Chief of Staff of Progressive Democrats of America. How is it going? Let us know who you are in the chat. Let us know where you're calling in from. Progressive Democrats of America. This is our 52nd town hall of the year. On every Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, we gather as a community, as the PDA Nation, and we talk about what's gone on the week before, what's going on the week ahead, and how we're organizing together across the country, coast to coast, as progressives. So again, everybody, welcome to our last call of the year. This is call number 52 of 2025. And next Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern, at 1 o'clock Pacific, we're going to kick off 2026. So it's been awesome to be with everybody this year. Let us know how you're doing. I'm seeing a lot of folks coming in from across the country, including Huntington, Indiana, and I'm seeing Ambler, Pennsylvania, Chicago, Illinois, Houston, Texas, Sarasota, Florida, Brattleboro, Vermont. So we are Temple Hills, Maryland. We are, that's what makes this call great. Progressives from across the country getting together and talking about organizing and what we do in this moment. 2020, as an organizer and as somebody working on a lot of different issues, 2025 is obviously a very tough year. I think a lot of us 14 months ago were hoping that we wouldn't have the Trump administration back in office, and we thought that was a real possibility. And here we are on the eve of 2026, where we really can fight back at the ballot box. Hopefully, a year from now, we're talking about a new Congress led by progressives, where the progressive message is not the junior partner, but the senior partner in the Democratic Party. And that's why I think I'm a little bit hopeful today, because it's been a tough year. We've survived the worst of it, hopefully, and now we go on the advance and look to take control of the Democratic primaries that start March 3rd, that goes through September 9th, I think. And then we want to go into the general election next year as an army ready to take out MAGA and the billionaire fascist class. So that's what we're up to this year. But let's talk about this call this year. What have we learned? What have we learned from this year? What have we gained from this year? And where are we going? And so today's conversation, we normally have a bunch of great guests, featured guests. But today our featured guest is really you and people who show up at these calls every week. And we really just want to have a friendly, positive conversation about 2025 and looking ahead at 2026, and hear from a lot of different voices and people from across the country tonight as we get ready to go from call number 52 in 2025 to what will be call number 1 in January, just 1 week from today. Every Sunday at 4 o'clock, we meet as Progressive Democrats of America. Alan Minsky, our executive director, who normally hosts these calls, he is in the middle of traveling today, and we'll hear from him via video here in a few short minutes. But again, welcome everybody to the Progressive Democrats of America, our national weekly call, our town hall every Sunday at this time, 4 o'clock, where I'm at in Indiana, on the East Coast. Indiana's not really on the East Coast, but East Coast time. To 1 o'clock in on the West Coast, and then if you're in Hawaii, it's 11 o'clock, I think, where you're at, right? So thank you, everybody, for joining. And I want to just kick it over real quick to my co-host, William Walter, who is up in Wisconsin. William, how's it going?
I'm always happy to be here, Mike. Always happy to be here with the PDA family. It's I got to take a quote from another good friend of ours, Mike Fox, that it is so comforting and at the same time inspiring to be surrounded by so many like-minded individuals every week, and to know that we have this call to recombobulate, to refocus, to redirect our anger and our energy, and sometimes, unfortunately, our angst towards positive progress, towards progressive fights that need to be fought and need to be won, and to continue organizing with all of you is my absolute favorite part of the job. So I'm so happy to be here.
And William, I'm seeing Maggie Boyd has joined us from New York City. So when we think about big celebrations, shout out to Maggie Boyd in New York City. I think that here at the end of the week, we'll have a new mayor in New York City. So congratulations to New York City and the Mandani campaign and a huge election for the mayor of New York City. One of the big victories. What's it like in Wisconsin, William, right now is always a pivotal battleground state. What's it looking like this year and headed into next year?
Well, we have the huge gubernatorial coming up. For those unfamiliar, our two-term incumbent governor Tony Evers, who defeated Scott Walker. Scott Walker was kind of the face of the anti-education movement here in Wisconsin. He's the one who overturned Act 10 with the immense amount of Koch brothers funding that a lot of Republican national organizations poured into the state in the early 2010s. Tony Evers came from an education background, kind of reaffirmed that the state of Wisconsin really cared about our public education. And of course, he was elected governor then. But now with the new state maps ready to go for 2026, for those unfamiliar, Wisconsin is the state that had the $100+ million state Supreme Court race last year. Of course, the progressive was victorious by about 11 points, which we call 3 to 4 points a Wisconsin landslide. 11 points is an absolute slaughter. Elon Musk came into the state. He spent millions and millions of dollars uplifting the conservative candidate, who then got whooped. And it was really a powerful moment for organizers in the state of Wisconsin to kind of reaffirm to us that as much power as it felt like the conservative movement had, even in a quote unquote 50-50 state, a true swing state like Wisconsin, that progressive values are at least immensely popular. And whether or not the Democratic Party embraces that, that's our job here at PDA, is to continue to push for that those policies to be embraced. But we know that from a base level, progressive policies are immensely popular, and Wisconsin's going to reaffirm that when we win back the state legislature this year.
Great. And so, if you want to look at, I think, what solid organizing looks like from at the statewide level, the Democratic Party level, I think Wisconsin is one of the great hopes. Like not perfect, but a place where people really do turn out. The Democratic Party and the progressive movement, which William helps lead, is always right there at full capacity to whatever it takes. So we'll come back,
especially young people, Mike. Wisconsin has led the league in youth turnout, particularly college student turnout. Led the league. I got NFL on my mind. Has led the nation in in youth turnout and college student turnout now for the last, I believe, 4 years, consistently each year, because we have a very robust organizing apparatus set up around the campuses around the state.
Absolutely, yeah. So I look at turnout in Milwaukee. The urban turnout, I think, exceeds most places in the country, and definitely in the Midwest. And so, I think there's a lot to learn from Wisconsin. And thank you for your work, William, and helping lead the YPDA. So, William, let's go. Let's take it now. Let's go down to Florida and let's do our normal visit with Mike Fox there on the Gulf Coast. Hey, Mike Fox, how's it going today? How's your new year looking?
Slamming and jamming, brother. I am going to, because my sister Donna is with us, and I would absolutely love to hear from Donna real quick before I come yapping at people. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's kick it back over to Denver, Colorado. Donna, how's it going up in Colorado?
This is the home of the Denver Broncos, William, so I understand. You're making that little bump about the league. I get it. Thank you very much, Mike, and thank you, William. I am the chair of the advisory board for Progressive Democrats of America. I've been with the organization a long time, and Mike Olis accurately talked about our 52 weeks of meetings this year, which is remarkable in so many ways that we continue to do it. We started doing it during the pandemic as a way to continue keeping the ties of progressives together. And it grew and it grew and it grew, and it became something very powerful that most of us very much look forward to, or we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing this. So I love that the guests today are all of you. PDA was formed in 2004. I'll just give you a very, very brief overview. Out of a DNC convention where progressives, and you can just be so surprised, felt unheard and felt like they weren't being really accurately represented in policy decisions and in platform decisions. So PDA formed in 2004 with this core group of people really determined to work inside and outside the party to do things to change. So when people see our progressive Democrats of America working with Democrats inside the party, that's because that's part of our mission to change the party from within and to also elect more progressives into office. Also, I wanted to say just briefly, we keep the chat open, and today we're going to try and keep it open for the entire show if we can. Sometimes that can be difficult if people aren't respectful towards one another and even respectful about the issues we talk about. This isn't a place where we want to see a lot of profanity. We certainly don't want to see others disrespect one another or their opinions. And name calling just doesn't work. We need to model the right kind of behavior on our side so that we're doing things that make one another feel uplifted rather than feeling more angry, more anxious. Because I know part of what happens for me, and I assume it might happen for you too, is with all of this news that keeps it's intentional, keeps just bombarding us all the time. My anxiety level goes up. And if I keep having reminders of all of the things that I think, and believe me, I say all the words too, but I do it usually in my car where I call people very unkind names, which isn't really good, but I get it out of my system. So here we want to have respect and decency, kindness, and if we don't see that in the chat, then we have to turn it off. So we don't want to do that. So thanks very much for being respectful in the chat. And we want to hear from many of you today. We also do a podcast, Positively Progressives, going through a revamp. Since last summer, it wasn't really kicking off the way I wanted it to. So Alan and I are working together to make sure that that goes well. How was 2025 for us in Colorado? Well, kind of a mixed bag. We went into it with the fear that Trump was going to send in the militia to go after the Venezuelan gangs that he thought were roaming the streets in Aurora, Colorado, right? Well, I'm here to say we're safe. They didn't have to send in the militia. There's no Venezuelan gangs wandering around the streets of Denver. We are still very concerned about what's going on with our sisters and brothers who are immigrants in this community. We have not had the same kind of ICE involvement that cities like Chicago and Los Angeles have had, and in Portland. Those things cannot continue. That's why we keep fighting, folks. That's why we keep fighting, because we have people right now in our country hiding. We have people in the United States of America hiding. I have to tell you this. I was at a family gathering and I was in a women's restroom and I heard a young family talking. And the one woman was saying, but we can't hide here from them in the bathroom all day. There's too many of the ICE out there. And I thought, what are we doing? And that's why we're meeting every Sunday, folks. That's why we are meeting, because we have people who are afraid, who are seriously in danger. So we fight to get progressives in. And in Colorado, I have to say the Aurora City Council has turned progressive. This is so great. Some of you may not remember Mike Kaufman was a congressman from Colorado. Well, now he's the mayor of Aurora. But oh, I'm so sorry. He has to deal with a progressive council now. That's great. So that's going well. And a lot of that is really because of the work of PDA in Colorado. Susan Gilbert is our chapter leader and our state coordinator. She is just fabulous. And candidates come to her because they want PDA's involvement and they want our endorsement because they know it means something. It means they are in favor of Medicare for all. It means we believe in peace, not war. We like the climate to be taken care of because we're all going to die together if we don't take care of the climate. There's core values that we have, and that's why candidates are coming to us. And the younger people coming up the pike, they're so much more progressive. And what was that old saying we all heard? It was, first they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they fight you, and then you win. What stage do you think we're in? They're not ignoring us, are they?
Hey, Donna, I heard I saw an article about Colorado this week about how progressives are in Colorado are making the move to challenge the Democratic ticket up and down the ballot.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw the article. We were kind of
Oh
living
yeah.
it, so I saw the article. I was like, "Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
this is our time."
Yeah. Some of those candidates are not really viable in terms of, making the run at the people they're running for. But what they're bringing to bear is just like Bernie brought to bear in 2016. And bringing the progressive issues to the forefront so that those incumbents who are, in my mind, too lazy and too frightened to fight for the progressive agenda, even though they know it's right, those candidates are bringing those issues right up into the forefront. And that's fabulous. Maybe we'll have some win. We hope. We hope. But it's a really amazing time, I think, if we can all get through what I think is going to be stressful, difficult, and challenging and push like crazy in 2026. Maybe we can have more Mondami wins, please, and fewer worries about what the fella in Washington is doing. I don't even like to say his name most of the time. So back to you and back to Mike Fox, back to my brother Mike Fox, who I love with all my heart. You are part of my family, Mike. So it's good to see you every week on Sunday.
Nothing but love and solidarity, Donna Smith. Um, I'll pile on very quickly because we're 2 minutes behind. We got Alan's thing that needs to be coming in the door, so I'll be brief here. Um, yeah, this call is all about solidarity, gang. First and foremost, there is no question. Did we have a tough year? Yeah, but there was a lot to be hopeful about. The blue wave, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. It's just literally, gang, all the elections since November of last year. The aggregate flip in all those statewide races and those state house races and the special elections for Congress, blah, blah, blah. Right around 10-point flip, gang. Now, think of that for a second. Think of how many close races there are every year out there. What kind of an effect can a 10-point flip have on that? It's doable, gang. There is no question. And here's where we talk about it between here and our Thursday night campaign calls, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. So I'm just going to sit back and hear from y'all. Some good news from the year. We're going to get inspired here. At the top of the hour, we'll come back to where we're at on goals. And here are the goals very quickly. Tossing into the chat. We need folks hitting the phones in a big way. Go to pdamerica.org/volunteer. We would like for us to see 100% solidarity here. Either an hour, that's all we're looking for, an hour over the upcoming week to get in the game with us and make sure all of our people are organized and inspired, etc., or a buck. That's all we're looking for, gang. So let's try to get 100% solidarity on either getting on that phone or tossing a few pennies in the tip jar, okay?
Mike,
And
interrupt you, Mike.
yeah, go ahead.
You always say that you'll match the first $100 anybody gives, right? Well,
Yep.
I can't quite do that, but for many years, I don't know if many of you know it, PDA paid me $75 a month for many years, and I was happy to get it, and I was happy to do the work. And fortunately, we pay a little bit more than that right now to some of the staffers, but not a lot. And we need to do better about living our values. So we'd love to be able to hire another organizer and do better things. But I'm telling you right now, I can't give 100, but I'll give 20. I'll match 20 to the first 20 that's given. Please, whatever you can dig in your pockets for, we really need it. And I often don't ask for the money, but we need it. We need it right now, and progressives need it. And your inbox is filling with all sorts of stuff. asking you to make contributions. Just make it on Sunday and make it your contribution on Sunday. That sort of fits for me. Thanks, Mike. Back to you.
And thank you so much, Donna. We'll call that a wrap for Fox right now. Let's get back to Mike Olis. We'll get to Alan's video and hear from you all. Mike will call for conversation when he and the hosts are ready. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. And I just made a monthly donation to Progressive Democrats of America as a staff person. It's important that we really build up our monthly donation series. The more small monthly donors we get, the more effective we can be, and the more things we can do across the country. And so, if you're already a monthly donor, thank you so much. If you're already given this year, thank you so much. But why not try and make another commitment? Make a second monthly donation, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 a month. We'll have over 300 people on this call today. If everybody makes a $10 commitment a month, that's $3,000 in the door every month that we know that we can go out and organize the movement with. So and really build out our monthly program. So thank you to everybody for an amazing 2025, despite the grim national politics. But this is where we fight back. This is where we go on the offensive headed into next year. We've survived a pretty grim year. Have seen some awful things come out of Washington, D.C., but our national movement is united, stronger, and bigger than ever before. So that's where we're at. And if we can build up our small donor army and turn this into something that is, robust and huge, we can really, really organize very concretely across the country. And I'm thinking about even here in Indianapolis, where I think this year, for the first time in history, the progressives and the Democratic Party here, we're going to win a county-wide election, and we're going to set the stage to take over the mayorship the next year as a progressive movement, and really rout and kick out the establishment Dems here who have really failed the city and have failed the Democratic Party. And so this is going to be a great year. I feel like in 2026, and if we can do that in Indianapolis, we can do it in hundreds and dozens and hundreds of cities across the country. I'm seeing my friend Susie entering the chat from another Indiana person. So just want to if we get serious about organizing, and that starts with our own small donations, and then getting our friends and family to make small donations, we can build this movement up. And so as we go into the next part of our conversation today, our executive director, Alan Minsky, who we all know and love, he is traveling today and will be back with us next week. But he has a video for us. It's about 15 minutes. And so we might break it up into two, or might just do the whole thing at once. But we want to hear from Alan now and his vision of the road ahead, and then we'll open up the conversation. So Matt Fouts, if you could get us going, let's watch this video.
Hello, everybody. It's Alan here, and sorry I couldn't join you in person for today's final town hall of 2025. I've been with my family on the East Coast, and I'm flying back to Los Angeles at the time of the town hall on Sunday. So I thought I'd just send a little end-of-year message looking back at 2025 and looking forward to 2026. And even before I sort of launch into saying a few things about the state of the world in 2025 as it was in 2026, and maybe also PDA and how PDA fits into all of everything, I thought I'd actually give a sort of summary encapsulation of how I see American politics right now. And then we'll just talk a little bit about details from 2025, looking forward to 26 and slotting PDA into it, though it might be hard to not imagine I'm already thinking about how PDA fits into all of this as I say what I'm about to start with. And that is that it's my assessment that we're in a very, very distinctive and fraught political moment in American history, and of course in global history as well. To put it in the framework broadly as global history, look, we've seen some highly traumatic things happen around the world in recent years. Obviously, the catastrophe of what transpired in Gaza, where we probably had that sort of high-tech slaughter of a population shared through video technology as readily as any in human history. There just simply were not instantaneous video reports of the firebombing of Tokyo or of Hiroshima, etc. So this was horrible and highly traumatic, and especially traumatic given the United States' position in support of the escalations of violence that continued to come from the Israelis against the people in Gaza, the horrors of the war in Ukraine and elsewhere. But I do think, while all of that is truly horrific and cannot be downplayed, and plays into a kind of very moral, dark space in which humanity finds itself at this moment, the threat to the American constitutional democracy is as grave a crisis as I think any that we've seen in our lifetimes in history. You'd probably have to go back to the end of World War II, so while World War II was still transpiring, to see something that was so threatening for what I think animates the great sort of sense of hope and possibility that has been a part of world history, since one could say since the American Revolution. One could go back to earlier sort of progressive reforms and other eras and other places, but in terms of the historical trajectory that's led up to the present, it's true that 250 years ago, with all of its failings and all of its atrocities that underlay it, the United States of America established the notion of democratic governance, and it's the victory of the American Revolution confirmed the establishment of the notion of democratic governance, which held forth the idea that every person would have a say in their own political and social destiny, and it wouldn't just be a matter of elites making those decisions for them. And that, of course, conception spread and was strengthened across the interceding 250 years. And we arrive at the second term of Donald Trump's presidency, and I think more than any time, with the exception of the Civil War, within this country, that notion is now seriously at risk of collapsing. And I think this is of the utmost global historical relevance for all of our lives and the way that we live. And for those of us who are Americans, the very air that we breathe is really almost possibly shifting, such that the way that we've seen the world and the possibilities we've always understood to be there, for all of its failings and increased failings of the system of democracy we've had in the United States, because there's no doubt that big money and big money's influence and buying of elections has only escalated in recent decades. The idea that it would be just sort of stripped asunder and an authoritarianism would be established was really unthinkable until very recently. And now we watched it in many respects transpiring in front of our eyes. And that's what's at play politically in the United States right now. And before looking back at the ways that that clearly has been the case in 2025 and the ways in which will be further under threat in 2026, my analysis of where we are then and how we get out of this mess still very much pertains to how we got here over the past, say, half century, which is that there's been incredible public dissatisfaction with the political status quo among the majority of the population. And the people who have benefited over the past 5 decades leading up to the present have increasingly been the very, very wealthy, and even the very wealthiest of the very wealthy, such that they have become so powerful that they have now aligned themselves with this autocratic figure of Donald Trump to basically form a bond in which they're just going to strip and destroy the capacity of the general population to interfere with how this small select group of Americans runs and controls all of American society. And so you have the establishment effectively of a de facto oligarchy and an oligarchy in the making, which, depending on the particular ruling, is being pushed forward by the right-wing Supreme Court. And with the pliant Congress, you have the concentration of power inside the executive branch under Donald Trump, with the support of the most powerful oligarchs the country has seen probably ever in our history. I think it now supersedes. For many reasons, I think the tech digital oligarchs supersede the power even of the robber barons of the 1890s, because when you're controlling that level of information and the impact of that information in people's minds, it's even more powerful than what existed at that time. So we have a very, very dangerous concentration of power here. And I think that the only way that democracy has a real shot at rebounding we can have some short-term victories, and we have to achieve those short-term victories against this oligarchic thrust. But I think the American public is going to be dissatisfied with the results of our political system until we revive an idea, and it's a somewhat banal idea, but let's just keep it simple here for the time being, of the American dream, that is accessible to the average household. And by that, I mean that people can not only become increasingly prosperous with each generation, but they can attain a level of prosperity from just baseline participation of playing by the rules inside the society, and that makes them readily accessible and attainable is the American dream. So, of course, the great signifier of this is home ownership and a degree of economic, if not total independence, a sense of control and confident control over the manner in which one has a working life, that one has, vacation time, time to raise a family, the resources to raise a family, the resources to have vacation time and leisure time, and to, be able to pass on this vision of greater prosperity and greater sense of economic control over one's own life within a just context. Can be handed on to the next generation. And the faith in that has completely collapsed because the reality of that is all but completely collapsed, as we know. Home ownership is just average homeowner right now. New homeowners like in their late 50s. It used to be in their 30s. So it's basically unattainable until very late in life. In fact, one of the few ways in which Americans finally arrive at some level of prosperity, even within range of the previous generations, when they inherit the wealth of the previous generation. And that people live longer now. That happens later and later. We have incredible concentration of wealth, by the way, in the hands of older Americans, and yet many older Americans are living lives of severe desperation in their poverty. And we have not only do we have the loss of faith for the middle class to attain the American dream, we have an increasing number of Americans who are living at or near poverty, where poverty is demarcated very low. So where that leaves us, folks, in 2025 is we have a situation in which the American public, to really rebuild faith in democracy, we have to have a political formation that clearly outlines a manner in which that is reattainable for the American people. That it's not just a bunch of band-aids that are put onto a status quo ante, which is unsatisfactory and has been for decades for the majority of the American public. And with that, I think it's fair to say the only political formation that promises that are currently progressive Democrats. And you have basically three political formations vying for political control in the country. You have the authoritarian far right, anti-Democrats, who are going to just go for this oligarchic strongman and eviscerate democracy. And it's just going to take a few more volleys of them winning and being a competitive political formation and holding power that democracy will be gone and no longer attainable. So this is urgent. Then we have the moderate Democrats and a few moderate Republicans wherever they may be left. And unfortunately, they represent a status quo ante, which can be compelling at a moment to a large portion of the population, which says, don't worry about being perfect. We just got to defeat these guys. But here's the problem. If they get back into power with each iteration that they win, say, the presidency and maybe a slight majority in the Senate and the House, and then don't do anything to dramatically transform the social order, and it returns back to this unsatisfactory status quo, undoubtedly because of the wounds done to it by Trump at an even lesser level than it was previously, the public isn't going to settle for that. And so we're basically at a situation where we on the progressive left, and this is the main message I want to convey to everybody at this moment in our history, we on the progressive left, yes, we have to maintain a political alliance with moderate Democrats because it is all important that we do win in November 2026. We have to have that kind of popular front and win a massive majority. And then we have to win a big majority in 2028. But by 2028, which is a presidential election, therefore distinctive from 2026, where there'll be one primary leader of the party, we have to make sure that the politics put forward by the Democratic Party are roughly the politics that PDA advocates for. We need a politics that advocates for a new economic social order, which is really an older economic social order, except now available to all of the population, no longer shedding all of its, any legacy of its racism has to be completely gone, okay? And this has to be available to all of the population. And it is basically a social contract put forward by FDR, put forward by social democratic countries across Western Europe and the rest of the world where it was applied, because it's the only proven mechanism for achieving a broadly prosperous middle-class society in a technological, industrialized capitalist context. It's the only proven way to do it, and we have to return to it. Now, of course, there have to be adjustments. Building off of where the world was in 1933 and building off of where the world is in 2025 are very different. In fact, you can just have to look at the structure of family and labor and who's in the workforce to realize there are very different needs. Roosevelt had to concentrate on certain things, making agriculture, subsidized and whole in a way when it had completely collapsed. Restructuring the banking system. Well, our particular focus will be about things like childcare and universal health care and housing costs and the cost of higher education. All of these things need to be clearly rectified and put into a framework that roughly fits with the model of the time, absolutely foregrounding the needs of poor, working, and middle-class Americans. Nothing else will work. And so we on the progressive left, we at PDA, as 2025 comes to an end, as we look back on a year where there was the horrors in Gaza, where there are these horrible occupations and brutalization of hardworking, working-class families, immigrants to this country. Their mistreatment is unlike anything we've seen in terms of its absolutely just, non-judicial application of fascist power within the domestic United States. These horror shows of 2025, they have to end by us winning in 2026. So we have to simultaneously say to our fellow Democrats, yes, we're going to be with you because you're going to be on the ballot in November 2026 if we are unable to defeat them in primaries. And we're going to support you. But we're going to support you to win those elections so that we can stop the horror shows that are going on, or try to staunch them as best as we can, even though Trump will, and the Trump administration will still be there for another 2+ years, right? But we have to staunch those as much as we can at the same time as we look our fellow Democrats in the eye and say, no, your neoliberal system has failed. It has failed our democracy. There's only one response to the moment that will be adequate to revitalize democracy and to make it stronger than ever with these victories, just like democracy was stronger than ever in the years following the Rooseveltian redistribution of wealth that came about after the Great Depression, after World War II, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, through the civil rights movement. We have to take that, make it even better. We can do that. We know how to do it. We have the model from before. We know the issues that have to be addressed. And that's where we are at this point. So I have now hit my mark here for the length I wanted to go on. I hope I'm clear. I could point to the things we need to focus on for 2026. We know what they are. We need to be there in the primaries. We need to have our voices heard. We also have to proceed to try to staunch some of the greatest risks of the moment. Of course, we have to be out supporting immigrant communities across the United States. We have to call for international law internationally. We have to support the Constitution and make sure the Democratic Party stands up for supporting the Constitution. Whichever Republicans we can pull away to support the Constitution, to pretty much achieve defeats for the Trump administration wherever we can, because they are the enemies of democracy. Then that means they are the enemies of every one of you watching this. They do not want you to have any control over your life. They want to make all the decisions for you and take that power away from you. They oppose democracy. We are Democrats with a small d, and we're progressive Democrats with a big D. And we have the right answers for this society going forward. So let everyone you know about Progressive Democrats of America. We're going to build up a great list of progressive Democrats to support in the primaries. We're going to push forward to win those primaries through the long primary season. It's all spread out across the calendar in 2026 through to early September. And then we're going to have a resounding victory in unity and unison. After the primaries are over, we are going to be in unity with the entirety of the Democratic Party, because we have to be. That's what history demands of us. We have to be the grown-ups in the room who support that. And that's what we're going to do in 2026. So I apologize for going on a little bit long, but hey, back to you, William and Donna and Nina Turner, if you're here today. Love you, Nina, so much. And love you all. And it's an honor to work alongside all of you. So let's make 2026 the greatest year yet in the history of Progressive Democrats of America. And thank you for your perseverance through a very, very difficult and trying year. Onwards. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. That was Alan Minsky, the executive director of Progressive Democrats of America, our normal host most Sunday afternoons at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. Alan is normally Pacific based, but I think he's flying east to west right now, and uh, and so yeah, I think it's pretty powerful when we talk about the housing stories that we find ourselves in. I'm here in my home here in Indianapolis, and it's a home that we own and bought at a fairly young age with some help from family and when housing prices were way lower than they are now, and so it's kind of shocking to hear when people are buying their homes in their 50s and not their 30s, and what that means for our economy. So I saw some chat room in the chat room about our housing policy and what we got to do. I thought that was pretty interesting. But hey, want to now just get some reaction from folks and take some questions. And I know Mike Fox and I helped develop sort of a laundry list of positives and negatives of this year that we'll kind of take a look at and review. But let's queue up and let's get some folks talking and interacting. And if William, Walter, and Donna, if you want to hop in here and add some commentary, let's just keep the conversation flowing. And let's go to Michelle first, who I see that their hand is raised. Michelle, introduce yourself and where you're calling from.
Yeah, my name's Michelle. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm not sure whether this is better for a PDA or to mention at a GREEP meeting, but I've noticed something that has bothered me just this past week, because I watch a lot of movies, mostly Bollywood movies on YouTube, and always have my hand ready to hit the skip ad button. Well, anyway, I've noticed that there's been some ads coming on for apparently to get people to think that AI is a good thing and that there should be more artificial intelligence. And I'm kind of concerned about that because I think it's potentially a bad influence. One of the ads was like, you can only get 20% of your data for your business. And if you get help, you could get the other 80%, for this AI thing. And then another one was AI to help somebody fix something. I don't know what it was because I don't pay attention to the commercials. I try to get away from them as quickly as possible. But it feels like there may be building up a barrage of this kind of advertising. And of course, a lot of us are concerned about all the AI centers and the potential for harm from letting AI take over too much. So I just thought I'd let you all know about it in case there's a need for some watchfulness about that kind of ad blitz or whatever you call it.
Yeah, and Michelle, I heard that these advertisements are popping up all across the country. I was talking to somebody in California about this the other day, and where I'm at in Indianapolis, we have just a huge fight right now between, I'd say it's everybody versus the billionaires, because Republicans, moderate Democrats, progressive Democrats have all banded together and said, before we spend billions and billions of dollars on data centers that can suck our water dry and fry the planet, we want some other problems dealt with first, like our climate, about our water quality, about water availability. And, there's one data center they want to build about 10 miles from where I'm talking right now that is a 100-acre data center and will use as much power as 250,000 homes, which would, you multiply across the country, and, we're not retiring coal plants. We're building new fossil infrastructure, which is going to, just fry the planet, right? So, Michelle, that's something that is, yeah, let's hear some other feedback on that. But that and especially, I know Wisconsin is having a big issue with this too, right? So, there's a very robust fight against data centers and AI, leading the charge, and that's something that PDA is very much part of and wants to be engaged in the fight and helping bring people together. So I don't know if William is seeing that. I know Donna Smith, there's a company here that has a big data center in Colorado that they want to build one here in the same company, American Tower, wants to build one here in Indianapolis that we're trying to stop. So Yeah, this is a huge
Yeah,
issue for us.
Michelle, thank you so much, Michelle, for the comments. And I think anytime we start seeing a lot of advertising, it's like softening the ground. You know, they're getting us softened up for what's going on in the future. So you're right. We have to keep a watchful eye on it. But I also saw one comment that talked about AI can be useful, and that is true too. There are some things that are made better with AI. So we have to be very discerning when we look at this issue. But AI generally, it's too early for us to turn over all sorts of processes to that effort. And you hear some very dire predictions about where it could take us, but we need to keep our eye on the prize, which is human beings are what matter, and getting to the point of being in community with each other again is what matters, rather than having AI do all of the trying to call a company right now very difficult. But last week's town hall focused on this issue. We focused on the issue of AI. So yeah, I think that recording is still available. So it might be something, Michelle, if you missed it last week, that you might want to go back and listen to, because there was some really good information on the data centers and what the impact may be around the country and how to fight those things. And also watch Congress again. Watch Congress and what's going on with, Trump wants to say that none of the states can regulate AI at all. That none of the states can take that on at all. But, states' rights issues come to bear there too. So anyway, thanks, Mike, for letting me add my 2 cents about that.
Yeah, but and I'll say that the data center conversation is something that we're going to be very much part of, like, going forward. I think that'll be, like, one of the core issues as we fight for, to save our climate and create good jobs, and to create, hopefully a new deal, right? That we're going to have AI in the fight for. Somebody said AI is useful. It can be useful, but we got to make sure that it's useful for everybody, not just for the billionaires.
Yeah.
And so.
Mike, in Wisconsin in
Yeah,
particular,
William,
too.
yeah, take it away.
So it's a tool. AI is a tool, nothing more, nothing less. These large language models, they have a small amount of value. There are certainly ways, particularly when large amounts of data have to be dug through. Or the one thing that I have in my reading that I think would be the most valuable is documentation and or analyzing mass amounts of data, particularly in the medical field. We are finding that diagnostic imaging, for example. A lot of these AI tools are really, really good at spotting small discrepancies that might not otherwise be noted. Perhaps it's cancer starting to develop, or whatever. But when you have millions and millions of pieces of data and images to go through, it's very difficult for a single individual human to do so. That said, the wealth that AI is generating is going exclusively to the hands of an already unfathomably wealthy elite few. You look at Wisconsin, for example, the Vantage data centers that are being built in Port Washington eventually will serve as a key site for Oracle and OpenAI as part of their $500 billion Stargate initiative. $500 billion. This is an unimaginable amount of money. The GDP of entire nations being poured into these data centers. And these data centers, of course, are going to steal all of our fresh water, which is why they're being built in the Midwest, primarily in Wisconsin, right on Lake Michigan, hoard our electricity, jacking up energy costs for everybody across the board. And eventually, they're going to be used to train these AI programs to take our jobs. And our public tax dollars are going towards building out the infrastructure to allow them to do so. This is economic cataclysm in the making, and it's disgusting that mass regulation has not been at the forefront of all politicians' minds. It only appears to be a talking point for a small handful of them. This issue in Port Washington in particular, I know I mentioned this a few calls ago, but we went to a common council meeting. Hundreds of people showed up. One person spoke in favor of the data center, and it was the tech consultant repping the data center. Every other person who was a member of the Port Washington community came out and said, we don't want this. We're blown away at the process, how it's been done behind closed doors in secret against the interests of the members of the community, how it was passed unanimously, and of course how there are myriad red flags and inappropriate relationships behind the scenes, such as the best friend of the mayor of Port Washington, who is the realtor who sold the land to Vantage. The son of that realtor happens to be like the head of economic development for the city or something like that. I'm going to mess up the title, but all of these individuals are connected, and all of these individuals personally benefited from the arrangement in place. Shocking. So I do think that data centers is kind of this is an issue that really transcends traditional bipartisan politics, because it reinforces to regular working class Americans that a lot of these problems are not necessarily right versus left. It's top versus bottom. It's the rich versus the rest of us. And here we have this absolutely prime example of wealthy coastal elites swooping into our communities to steal and hoard all of our resources so they can privatize the profits that they get from it while screwing over the rest of us. And the amount of people in Port Washington, members of the community that are, again, across the political spectrum, that have shown up in support of this, that have gotten behind the progressive messaging and progressive organizing that we are doing to try to fight these data centers, it's really inspiring for me. It reminds me that at the end of the day, a lot of us want the same things. We just have, perhaps we're ignorant to the realities of the situation, or perhaps we're inundated with propaganda because we grew up in a conservative household and we watch Fox nonstop, or whatever it may or may not be. These data centers are really kind of blurring the lines that have been kind of set in stone for decades now in American politics, and on the groups that have emerged from organizing around the data centers are immensely powerful, and really the textbook definition of grassroots organic organizing. I hope it can continue to grow.
Well, William, yeah, it's a fight that I think we're gonna really leap into, as the new year turns, and I think build a winning coalition around, or else, I think this there's a lot of, it's a win or go home in a lot of ways, and so we got to win this. Hey, we have about 11 people with hands raised, so let's move it to the next conversation. And I see a phone number here with a Chicago area code, so I want to go to 773 if you're still on the phone and can unmute yourself.
Hi, Jake is my name. I'm in Chicago. What was I going to say about? Oh yeah. Bernie Sanders was on CNN the other day. He's calling for a moratorium on data centers because of the environmental impacts, because of the economic impacts. And I would add one other thing. I see it as what we're doing. Well, Bernie Sanders implied it too, that the data centers cost billions, if not trillions of dollars, and they wouldn't be financially viable without huge public subsidies. So what are we subsidizing? We're subsidizing unemployment, and we're subsidizing environmental degradation. And what we're really subsidizing is bankruptcy, because that's what'll end up. It'll end up bankrupting the system. So I guess the formula is, if people who are making people who think they can make a lot of money off of it want to come up with the money, there should be no public subsidy. You hear what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That should be part of our push.
And absolutely. And I know the Chicagoland region, from Port Washington up around Lake Michigan over into the Michigan side and the Indiana side, you're just having huge data centers being proposed up and down across the lake. And so our Great Lakes are at risk, let alone everything else. And the idea that if Google wants to build these, let them pay for it. They're $1 trillion companies at this point, right? So
right.
Let them pay for it.
Exactly. And then if they go bankrupt in the process, it's their bankruptcy. It won't bankrupt the rest of us in the process.
Well, thank you, Jake. So this is an open conversation, but obviously I think the data center and the AI fight has I think 6 months ago nobody was talking about it, and now this is basically all of a sudden across the country, this is the fight that we have to win state by state, and really bring it to the White House also. So thank you, Jake. Let's go to Angela Volo, and then Brian J next. Angela, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Yeah,
Got
okay,
you.
thanks, Mike. I want to focus on what Alan brought up about creating a new economic social order and redistribution of wealth. I know that I've spoken before. I wanted to let people know the status of the bill in the US Congress on the creation of a $5 trillion national infrastructure bank. This is modeled on the bank that Franklin Roosevelt used to finance the New Deal. And we now have almost 50 sponsors, all Democrats. It was introduced by Congressman Danny Davis. 10 of those are progressives. So we're really going to go full speed ahead in 2026. This is an opportunity because the bipartisan infrastructure law expires. There's not going to be any money to go into infrastructure. So we actually have a big opportunity now to do what people voted for in the last election, that they want a new economy, they want affordability. This would create 20 million high-wage jobs. So that's the opportunity. And we've got momentum now that almost 50 Democrats are saying this is the way to change things. So anybody that wants to help, I'll put my email from the Coalition for the National Infrastructure Bank. This is HR 5356, and we really urge you to help because this is for the new economic order.
Thank you, Angela. Yes, so please put the link in the chat, and yeah, obviously PDA is supporting, and so please put that in the chat. And thank you, Angela. Happy New Year, and we'll let's build that roster of supporters up.
Great, thank you.
And Angela, where are you based out of?
I'm in Leesburg, Virginia.
Okay, just there in the Northern Virginia. Great. Okay, let's go to sorry, who was next? We have was it Brian? Brian J?
Yep, he's
everyone.
next.
I just want to say really quick. I ran for Congress a couple times in Michigan. I ran in a really red district, and I ran on really progressive policies. I want to say how much impact you guys have on developing candidates throughout the country and everyone that's supporting them. The district I ran in was almost like a plus 30 Trump district, and I was supported by AOC's PAC, and I actually did 4 points above the more moderate Democrat that ran in the next cycle. So understand, people love progressive policies. And when I talk to people on the ground, they're really interested in them. And it's more of an action of not trying to be above you, but being working with you. And not going to go into specific legislation that I developed or want to develop if elected. I just want to thank everyone. I've had a rough few months, and I hope everyone's doing well, and I wish everyone the best.
Brian, where are you in Michigan?
Michigan, I live in the 10th now, which is John James district, but I ran against Lisa McClain and John James in the primary.
Great.
Thank you so much.
So that is sorry, that is sort of north of Detroit in the
Yeah, it's a little bit, it's right in Metro Detroit.
Yep.
So
great. Well, let's follow up and let's see. Yeah, let's try to build PDA Michigan if you're up for it.
I will anything I can do to help.
Awesome. Well, thanks,
Thank
Brian,
you so much.
and thanks for all you've done for the progressive movement.
I appreciate
by
it.
running.
Thank you.
Okay, let's. If Donna or Brian or Mike want to hop in,
And let's move to Don McCann. I love Dr. Don McCann. Can we unmute Dr. Don, please?
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say that as far as looking at issues in the future for the progressive cause, I think that we really should be looking once again at Medicare for all. There has been a lot of activity and renewed interest in it. And as an example, I just wanted to mention that right now there's an article in the New York Times about, if I can find it here, anyway, it's about healthcare reform and the responses by the readers. Mine happens to be the first response, the greatest response, and it was advocating Medicare for all. And what I think this is saying is that the readers are now interested in Medicare for All being the kind of reform that we need to fix our healthcare system. So I just want to make that point. And it's in the New York Times right now at this minute, if anyone's
Excellent.
interested.
Excellent. We'll look for it. And if you find it, forward it to us and we'll share it with the rest of the group. I think you're right. I think the mood of the country for a long time has certainly reinforced the healthcare system is not where it's not a system, it's an industry, and it's not working. It's not working for most of us. People are dying and being hurt by it. And January 1st, what we all know is a lot of Americans will have no option to afford buying coverage on the marketplaces, and they will go without. And so we're going to step backwards, apparently. That is not the direction we need to go. We need Medicare for all. And you're right, a lot more people are fighting for it. Many of us just got an update this week about there being new co-sponsors on the Medicare for All bill in the House of Representatives. So make sure perhaps someone can help and throw a list in the chat of who's on Medicare for All in the House right now. And if you don't see your representative on that list, you can get busy and make some calls to your rep and say, I want you to be a co-sponsor. And it doesn't matter whether your rep is Democrat or Republican. They still have healthcare needs, and you are their constituent. They represent you. So there's a call you could make right now. And a lot of our neighbors and friends now are with us. They know it. More than 60% of the American public, all political categories or no political categories, support Medicare for all now. More than 60%. Where are you going to find 60% of Americans to agree on much more than that? That's pretty incredible. So we need a Congress that's just going to get it done. It's just that simple. Thank you very much, Dr. Don. We love you.
Hey, Donna, let's go to Mike Fox real quick. Mike, do you want to give us the top of the hour update? We're about 5 minutes past the top of the hour, and then we'll keep the conversation going.
Indeed, I can. And I'm going to show solidarity with my brothers and sisters whose cameras are not enabled right now and not have mine enabled. But the following folks, I'm doing my favorite job of the week here. The following folks have donated during this program. We want to thank Debbie and phone banker Linda double dipping and phone banker Joseph double dipping and our chapter head out in Missouri, Robert. Thank you, Robert. And phone banker Carlos double dipping and Patricia, Gail, Donna, of course, she made that kind match. Thank you, Donna. And phone banker Betsy double dipping, phone banker Jane double dipping, Jan, Dr. Deutsch, not only double dipping, but he tossed in a sustaining donation monthly. Thank you, Doctor. Woo. And double dipping Laura. She's our chapter head out in New Mexico and is just an absolute organizing machine. Thank you so much for your monthly donation. And Elizabeth and Connie monthly and Michelle monthly and Margaret, thank you as always. And Kathleen, Quincy, Brian, who just spoke, Woodrow, Linda, Darwin, Janice, Jennifer, Christine, thank you so much for your more than kind $100. Anybody who can match or beat that, please do. Any amount's greatly appreciated. And Eugene, Cynthia, David, phone banker Michael, Nadine. Oh, look, it's Mike Olis. Proof on the back end here that our host Bang tossed his
monthly donation, baby. Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Movement.
And phone banker Aaron out in Arizona double dipping, and Peter, Neil, phone banker Maggie in New York, Dr. Deutsch again, he's double dipping, he's triple dipping, he's all over, and double dipping Dr. Sonneborn out in California, phone banking and donating, and Michael and Jody, phone banker Beverly, and finally phone banker Mary. So thank you all so much, gang. Let's keep this up. We got some great energy going going. I'm going to toss into the chat here quickly. If you do not see the link to donate, then just go to pdamerica.org, hit that donate button. Or if money's tight right now, we certainly understand. Toss in an hour with us on the phone team. You heard those double dippers. If you're on the phone team, help me out here. Toss in the chat why you phone bank, and toss the link in pdamerica.org/volunteer. We'll be back during family time once we wrap this recording to see where we're at on goals, and hopefully we'll hit every one of them. Oh yeah, lastly, we're still 7 short on volunteer shifts. I need 7 more people to sign up to make calls with Beverly and Mary and Betsy and all those other double dippers that you heard me crowing about. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mike.
Great. And thank you, Mike Fox. We have a lot of mics in this PDA world, and so it can get a little bit confusing. And so, Mike Fox, thank you. Happy New Year to you. Happy holidays. And it's an honor to be in this fight with you. Hey, but before we get back to the hands, I just want to give a shout out to all of our local chapter leaders and state leaders. I see a lot of folks on this call who are local and state leaders, and in the new year, Dan O'Neill, our director of state organizing and chapter organizing, we're going to make a big push to grow our network and get our local chapters and our state networks really growing and going. So, shout out to everybody who's leading a local group. We have this new group in North Carolina. I think they have the first primary coming up on March 3rd. And I just think we're going to pull off a huge victory there, taking out an establishment Democrat with a huge progressive win. So shout out to everybody doing the work at the local level, state level. Shout out to everybody who comes to these calls every Sunday. Let's make it a habit to show up on Sundays and turn out, and let's see if we can make this call a 500 person, 1,000 person call. When we get those type of turnout, people want to show up and talk to us, right? And the more we get organized and build this together, the bigger names we can get, the more robust conversations we can get, the better technology we can have to grow this conversation. So thank you for being part of this movement. Let's take it back to the phones. Or to the Zoom call. I'm seeing Charisse and Tasneem. If you want to, Charisse first and then Tasneem. And please introduce yourself and let us know where you're calling in from or where you're stationed. Do we have Charisse and do we have Tasneem?
Hey everybody, it's so good to be able to be here with the Progressive Democrats of America. I've been a huge fan of you guys since I became an organizer 8 years ago, and I'm so glad to see that this group has continued to grow ever since. I'm calling based out of Dallas, Texas, particularly in North Texas, which all of you all know, the primaries are coming up. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to another friend of mine who was on the call, Zishan Hafiz, who's the bona fide progressive running for Texas's 33rd congressional district. I don't know if anybody has been paying attention to what's been happening in Texas, but we all got brand new maps and we just had a bunch of redistricting go on. And as a result, you've got now 2, in my opinion, establishment Democrats like Julie Johnson and Colin Allred running for Texas 33rd. And as a result, what we have going on is we have now a genuine person who was wanting to run on a platform that matches my values. I actually first saw him whenever he when he spoke at the Fight the Oligarchy tour, speaking about having a living wage for Texans, having Medicare for all, abolishing ICE, and not taking any money from APAC. And so I'm asking all of y'all to, pay attention to what's happening down in Texas. In my opinion, I think we got a lot of room for progressives. I've worked across 20 different states across the Midwest, and I got a belief that, working class populism works in the heart of America. So with that, I just wanted to give him a huge shout out. I know he's on the call, and I appreciate all the work that y'all are doing here at Progressive Dems of America. I think we got a huge opportunity right now in this 2026 election.
Great. And Tasneem, can you tell us a little bit about the 33rd district? So this is one of the heavily packed districts in Texas coming out of the redistricting, right? This is the Jasmine Crockett old district also. Is that correct? Looks like we lost Tasmin. So we'll let's let's come back and talk Texas.
Hi, I'm back.
Oh
Sorry,
yeah, no problem.
I was trying to unmute. Yeah, so this brand new map that they have for the district is primarily a majority minority district. We're talking about 76.8% non-white district with the median age being 32. In this, it's a safely blue seat. And as we know in a lot of the turnouts, especially in some of the southern states, it's much lower. You know, I think the district wouldn't be looking at, you know, in the previous couple of years, it's only been up to 24,000 voters who actually show up in the election. And, you know, with Trump being on the ballot, and now you've got, you know, folks like Jasmine Crockett and James Tallarico running for U.S. Senate, it's definitely going to be an enthusiastic primary looking at around 30K. So I think he would be able to win outright with only 15,000 votes. This is this district is like 55% Hispanic, 16% Black, 6 point something, 6.8% Asian. And so it is a very winnable district, to be very frank. And I know his team. I mean, I'm somebody who's joined on recently, but has a huge volunteer base, and so they're just going to be going at it hard for the next 2 months.
Great. And could you and I'm sorry, not as familiar as this issue as we should be. I'm sorry, who is the progressive running in this race again?
His name is Zishan Hafiz. I can go ahead and write his name down
I see him.
in the chat.
I see him in our chat. I don't know if Zishan, if you want to unmute yourself and if we can have you say hello.
He's not able to unmute himself on his own, Mike.
Oh yes, yeah. If Mike Fox, if you could help.
What's the name again? All these pop-ups are a little bit of a challenge.
Oh yeah, anyway. We're trying to Zeshan.
1 second, Zijan.
Hey, everyone. How's it going? I actually tried to come on camera, but I think I don't have camera access. But
we have some security protocols in place.
Oh, of course.
We'll get you next time on camera.
No issues. It's a real pleasure to be with PDA. You guys do amazing work, and we are running a unapologetically progressive campaign. Everywhere we go, we're running on progressive issues. And to be honest, most of the candidates that run in these Democratic primaries don't really take the time to talk about the issues. Wherever we go, we're talking about a $20 living minimum wage. We're talking about free public education from kindergarten to the university level at a European stage. We're talking about Medicare for all. We're talking about a Green New Deal, building 13 million affordable housing units by investing at least $1.5 trillion, according to Bernie Sanders' plan to build affordable housing units all across the country. We're talking about increasing Social Security by $200 a month, by raising the caps on Social Security. Obviously, big deal for us is ending the genocide, calling it what it is, ending the genocide in Gaza, ending all support for Israel when it comes to military aid, and finally helping us domestically reverse some of the things that happened after 9/11, things like the Patriot Act and mass surveillance, building a digital bill of rights, creating safeguards against the data centers that you guys were talking about earlier in today's conversation. And finally, one last thing that I haven't heard too much about on this call, but I'm very passionate about, is abolishing ICE. I think ICE has become Donald Trump's personal Gestapo. It is going after not only immigrants, but actual U.S. citizens. It is beating up women, children. They're wearing masks. They don't have uniforms, no IDs, no identification. They're the only law enforcement agency within our government that has no oversight. And I think we as Americans have to stand up against ICE. We need to take a very bold and principled stance. And to be honest, everywhere I go where I talk about these issues, whether it's a regular Democrat, a Democrat that's been with the party for a long time, or even just independents, they get really, really excited about these issues because these are the issues that matter. Affordability matters, making America better matters, and people are sick and tired of politicians who are taking billions and millions of dollars from the corporations. It's time to end Citizens United, end the corporate influence on our government, end these autocrats and oligarchs that run our government, and put the power back in the people. And we have a real path to victory, as Tasneem mentioned. And I think that the American people are going to wake up all across this country to restore democracy and finally fight for the American dream that's being lost.
Well, great. Is Sean, we'll get you we'll get your campaign and endorsement questionnaire. And I know your primary is coming up pretty quick, right? It's March, mid-March.
Yes, it is.
Texas?
It is. I think we had engaged with some folks earlier. I'm not sure if we have submitted the questionnaire or not, but we would love to earn the endorsement of PDA.
Great. Awesome. And so thank you for joining our call today. And
thank you for the opportunity.
This is why we have these open conversations. If we want to get to know folks from across the country, get our endorsements out the door, and pull off a massive organizing uprising in Texas, where one of our good friends, Clayton Tucker, is running for statewide for agriculture commissioner, and so let's win statewide. Let's win some of these deep blue districts. And
if we have a plus
elected.
32 district that's a plus 32, why should we have anything less than a progressive that's running it, a true Democrat that really cares about democratic values? Check out our website, zseanfortexas.com. I'd love to talk to anyone. We're building a people-powered movement to take on the oligarchs, to take on the corporate and establishment Democrats. We can take them down.
Awesome. So let's be in touch. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you for the time.
And we'll get you on camera next time.
I appreciate it. I look forward to it.
Great. Right. Awesome. Let's. I know we're here. We're in our 80th minute of the town hall. So let's get some more questions going, and we'll wrap up probably at 5:40 Eastern time. So,
hey, Mike.
Charisse
had been asked to unmute.
Oh yes, Charisse
and
with
then
us?
Got omitted and had put a note in the chat that she was asking to be unmuted so she can speak now, please.
Great, Charisse. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. As far as data centers are concerned, Meta has been running a lot of ads showing how data centers are adding to jobs. The one that I see the most is Altoona, Pennsylvania. Jobs were disappearing, and Meta brought in a data center, and they're bringing jobs back. Well, the reality is, especially given the amount of real estate that the typical data center takes up, it's not a lot of jobs. You have a 1 to 2 acre data center, maybe 60 to 80 jobs, about a dozen knock technicians, half a dozen managers, a facility manager, an electrician, an HR person, half a dozen to a dozen hardware technicians. That's pretty much about it. And they think, well, they're about the same size as the TSMC plant in Phoenix that employs 6,000 people and counting. No, it's about 60 to 80 people. That's it. And the narrator in that Altoona ad says, I got a job. I no longer have to leave town looking for a job. Well, sadly, he was either a farmer or a storekeeper. He wasn't qualified for any of those jobs at the data center.
Now, Charisse, are you based in central Pennsylvania?
No, I'm in Boston.
You're in Boston. Okay. Yeah, but we got to track these ads and because we're talking about massive investments, billions of dollars investments that create, very little jobs, long-term jobs, right? Obviously, some of our friends in the construction unions are very pro building these things, but these do not create long-term jobs.
I heard on the radio a couple of hours ago that it's the trillion-dollar investments in data center construction that's keeping the U.S. out of a recession.
It's creating a bubble, right?
And I also posted earlier in the chat the threat of AI and the promise of AI. So follow the links.
Great. Yeah, and this is something that I think we're going to come back to time and time again. I know we have a congressional liaison program that is rebooting itself, And I think in the new year, the data center conversation will probably become our first letter, where we'll deliver a letter on AI and data centers to every member of Congress. So we'd love to invite you to that also. And so that meeting is the third Sunday. I'm sorry, the third Wednesday of the month, and we'll get that out to everybody as our first
Awesome.
action of the new year.
Because I'm in IT, so I deal with this all the time.
Great. Yeah. So let's make sure everybody we'll send that out to everybody that our January congressional liaison meeting will be about AI and data. So thank you, Sharice. Anybody else want to hop in there, and we'll keep the conversation going. So okay, let's go to Hillary. I think Hillary Keys and Jim Dornot.
Great. Thank you. This is Hillary Keys in Palm Beach County, Florida. And harkening back to the discussion about the Medicare for All and the new people signing on, one of the people who signed on is my current Congressman, Jared Moskowitz. And I want to say how the significance that this shows of how important progressive primary challenges are. Because he had promised me when he first ran, what was it, like 3.5 years ago, that he would sign on to Medicare for All. And then, crickets, nothing happening. So he now has an awesome progressive challenger named Oliver Larkin, and suddenly Moskowitz is signing on. So I just wanted to address how important our progressive primaries are. Thank you.
I'm going to chime in where Hillary left off there too,
Hey,
Mike.
Jim. Yep.
We work with Oliver a lot, and he is absolutely awesome, and he is an excellent challenger in Moskowitz. What Hillary said was 100% true.
Great. And my brother lives in that. I think my brother lives in that district, or lives in where like the three districts come together down there. And he's in Broward County, and so I kind of follow the politics there a little bit. And so that is awesome. So let's talk to Oliver. Let's get our progressive movement organized there in Palm Beach and in Broward, and let's great work for Jim and everybody, and Hillary, to everybody who keeps that group going and moving. So
yeah, I organize.
Congratulations.
I organize in Palm Beach County for PDA.
Great, love it. So let's Florida's a tough spot, massive state, and thank you for your work.
Thanks. Thank you.
And getting Moskowitz on Medicare for All. I think also we should give a shout out. I think Senator Van Hollen has signed on to Medicare for All, which we've outside of Bernie Sanders, it's been hard to get some senators to engage, and so the Maryland senator I think signed on to Medicare for All also recently. So great news there. I'm seeing my friend Rosa Calderon. Rosa, do you want to say hello? And then also Jim. I skipped over Jim. So Jim and Rosa, do you want to take it away? And if Mike can help unmute.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really glad that Alan Minsky brought up the housing situation in terms of affordability. I'm an old guy, and when my dad bought a house, it took him 7 years to pay it off on a working class salary with one person working. And that's the way it was back then. I'm a Vietnam vet, so I've been around a while. But the other thing is that I got curious, like, where does the United States stand in the world in terms of housing? And it's 66%. And that would seem to be okay, right? 66%? Not really. The United States, the number one country on the planet, we're all taught, is 172nd in house ownership. 172nd. Keep that figure in mind when people start talking about how great this country is and how well it's working.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no, Jim. Where are you? Where are you calling in from?
I'm in San Francisco.
Great, and obviously San Francisco is probably completely unaffordable for most young families.
Oh, yeah. And that's a good point, because actually right now I hear that the younger generations are just terrified about housing, that they have no expectations of having their own home. It's a lowest level of expectation to any other generation. Yeah. So it's a big issue.
Yep, and our cities are becoming more and more unaffordable, and then and there's some housing I feel like that is public housing and housing that's supposed to meant to give people a boost, and that housing is being mismanaged and becoming unsafe, and so we have it on both ends where people can't afford housing, and then our housing that's supposed to be give people a chance at safe housing is not being maintained and upkept, and the slum landlords and the mega corporate landlords aren't being held accountable. So, thank you for jamming it, and I think we should do a deep dive on housing at PDA going forward. Also, as Alan brought it up at the beginning of his end of year conversation about how unaffordable housing is and how people are waiting to their 50s to buy their first home instead of their 20s and 30s. My parents, would bought their houses in the 1960s and 70s with a little bit of help from their parents, and it was, they could. It's the way they built their wealth, right? And now you have to be wealthy to buy a house. So thank you, Jim, on that. And let's keep the housing conversation going. I think that's a something we got to do. So Rosa, are you there? And does anybody else want to chime in on housing from our panel?
We got a lot of people on stack.
Okay, so let's keep it going, and we'll try to. Yeah. So Rosa, are you able to talk? The mic. Did you want to just help get people lined up?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hey, how's it going, friend?
Good. How are you?
Good. Now, are you in Texas right now?
I am in Texas, and we just somewhat invaded your show, but you just heard from Tasneem, who's our field director for Sishan's race, and you also just mentioned Oliver Larkin too, who was another person that I worked with and helped out, and I am super happy, honestly, to see people like Moskowitz and Julie Johnson jumping into Medicare for All. Clearly, we know that they're trying to signal to progressives, and we know truly where they stand. So we should continue pushing for progressive voices in those districts and just try to flip them regardless, because they cannot only switch their positions when they see the writing on the wall. And you know that already, that we should continue pushing the left agenda, I guess, as they call it, but anything that has to do with Medicare for All, housing is a right, and stopping these ICE raids that are really terrorizing not just our communities here in Texas, but nationally.
Absolutely, and I think we see it all over the place in the Midwest. Also, obviously in Chicago this fall, but I think people are fighting back, and we're starting to, we're flipped the tables on these guys, on these goons, and I think that we got to keep on fighting. And if you're in a blue district, you better be out there fighting, or you don't deserve to be in office, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So my shameless pitch here is, if you heard Sishan speak and you're looking for a campaign to get involved in, this is definitely one where we can take out two birds with one stone. Colin Allred and Julie Johnson are, two birds of the same flock. And we're really not going to get ahead. In fact, things are only going to get worse if we continue electing these moderates that in the end up caucusing with the GOP on very important votes. So if you have time, I'm not sure if we spelled it on here, but it's Zeshan with ZEESHAN for Texas.com. So
Great.
that's my shameless plug.
Yeah, we'll be in touch and get these conversations going, because we got to get Texas is coming up pretty quick on the primary calendar, and Florida, we have a little bit more time, but it's gonna be we want to be geared up, ready to go. So let's keep talking and talk. Let's hop on the phone tomorrow and make things happen. So
hey, Michael, I
yes.
want to kind of correct the record on something there. There's a
an impression that the Hillary down here in Florida, Hillary Keys, might be Hillary Clinton, and she absolutely is not. Hillary Keys
Oh, missed that.
is
Okay.
a member of our P4DA Florida Executive Board. She has been organizing in Palm Beach County for years, and she is one of our stars down here, and she has nothing to do with Hillary Clinton. When she was a Bernie delegate, she specifically made a name for herself as Hillary, not Clinton. So I wanted to make sure that we cleared the record on that.
Sorry, I missed that in the chat room. Okay, but yeah, Hillary Keys, one of the great progressive organizers, not Hillary Clinton, who I think is yeah, one of our ultimate frenemies, I guess, right? And somebody who's yeah, who has not led the Democratic Party in ways that we were hoping for. So Hillary Keys, though, one of our champions. So okay, thanks for noting that, Jim. Uh, uh, okay, Mike, could you help us get some more folks stacked up?
Neil Penn, you're up.
Neil up in Oregon. Hey, Neil, how's it going?
Very well. Fantastic conversation. We hear frequently PDA is an inside-outside organization, and Zashin's campaign overview is a beautiful example of what backing a true progressive does in terms of inside politics. The other side of the coin is the grassroots. And while there are 101 issues, all of which that are incredibly important, such as taking an elephant gun to ICE and stop their Gestapo tactics, the deeper level of grassroots are there's a lot of persons who they sort of believe with us, but they feel powerless and haven't stepped up to this plate. If we could find there are 101 issues that impact ordinary people that feel beaten down, and by being very particular and specific and reaching out to the persons that for the moment are not active, two things happen. One, it strengthens their resolve, and two, it gives us the opportunity to political consciousness raising so that they start to see this is not just a fragment of isolated inequities and troubles, but that this is a systemic issue that we're fighting against, that unless we deal with the underlying structure, we're going to deal with 101 social inequities from now to the cows come home.
Great. No, that's don't now, Neil, you're in Oregon, right? Neil, are you there?
Hold on, his hand got taken down.
Okay,
so
but anyways,
chase him down.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
let's try to stick Mike with let folks speak, and then we get on to the next one. We got
But so just real quick, in Oregon, we're going to be hopefully launching a new state network, or have some friends who want to work with us. And so Neil and Dave Alba and friends in Oregon, I want to have follow up with you about Oregon organizing going forward. So thank you, Neil. Let's go to the next call.
Richard and Julio, you're on deck. Be ready.
My name is Richard Graham. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I don't like when ICE is here. ICE in Minneapolis is there. We need to get rid of ICE somehow. You just gotta get rid of ICE, because when ICE is there, things are not good.
100%. And I think PDA has been, helping lead the fight against ICE from the very beginning, and raised alarm bells, and hopefully, I'd assume in Minneapolis, people are fighting back, and we got to do that across the country. And when ICE enters our community, we fight back. So thank you for that, Richard, and our Minnesota group. Let's keep on organizing.
And my apologies, button weirdness going on here, 100% my fault. Julio, you should be able to unmute now, and let me scare you up if not. Julio. Boom. Again, you should be able to unmute, Julio.
Yes, now I saw the button. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Sorry about that, brother.
No worries. Just wanted to say hi, everyone. Julio Acosta, pronouns he, él. I live in Dallas, Texas. I'm on the advisory board for the Texas Progressive Caucus, which Clayton Tucker, who's running for agriculture commissioner here in Texas, co-founded, and others. And also, yes, just wanted to say I first heard about the Progressive Democrats of America about a year ago now, and I'm really, really excited of all the work that y'all are doing. And I just want to send honestly, I just want to send all light and love and positivity to everyone fighting for justice. I know things are hard, but just please, in person, seek community, self-care, take care of yourself as best as you can. And let's just organize, let's invest and contribute to PDA with our time, our talent, our treasure. And just as from being from Dallas, Texas, I first heard Z and I first met him about 3-4 months ago. And I've loved him ever since and continue to love him more. And yes, we definitely need public servant leader hearts that are champions for the issues that matter to all of we the people. And I just want to say, yes, definitely check out Zishan Hafiz, zishanfortexas.com. If anybody wants to contribute anyway, also feel free to reach out. But yes, just sending all light and love to everyone as 2025 comes to a close, basically.
And for those who don't know, I think the Texas Progressive Caucus is one of the great progressive caucuses in the country. And, I think you guys even took over the state party there. I know there's some bumps in the road and all that, but if we want to see really good inside out sort of organizing, I feel like the Texas Progressive Caucus has done a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, we helped Clayton. The Texas Progressive Caucus helped Kendall Scudder become the chair of the Texas Democratic Party. And he's the most progressive that we had in a long time, maybe ever. So we're doing a lot of good stuff, but super appreciate everybody and just keep being in the struggle and the fight. And yes, let's abolish ICE and let's just do all the good stuff that we need for all of we the people. Yeah, for sure.
Great. Thank you, Julio. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like we're going to build a North Texas chapter here, get things going in Texas. So thanks so much, Julio. And next, if anybody wants to chime in, please chime in from our panel and let's keep it going.
All right. Moji, you should be able to unmute. Barbara, you're on deck.
Hi, this is Moji Aga in Boulder, Colorado. And I was really encouraged when I heard Neil talking about the systemic problem that we have. One of the aspects of the systemic problem that we have in this country is that the Democratic Party, the establishment Democratic Party, sees that the progressives at the end of the day have nowhere else to go. So one of the ways of trying to deal with breaking that monopoly of two parties that are essentially the same party, the party of money, is to somehow move the progressive Democrats toward founding the Social Democratic Party of the United States. And so along that line, one of the things I am doing as an Iranian American Sufi Muslim here in Colorado is to try to municipalize our public utilities. And we are trying to create a systemic way of municipalizing, and the name of the group that we have registered with the Secretary of State in Colorado is the Boulder Area Coalition for Energy Sovereignty. And so I am hoping, and the website, the little website I've created for it, and my contact information is in the chat. And I'm hoping, for example, Brother Hafiz in the Dallas area, in northern Texas area, to try to look into municipalizing their areas. We are beginning with electricity at this point because Excel Corporation is like shameless and it's a huge corporation that is abusing the public trust of the people here. And then in Florida, for example, we have Duke Energy, which makes Excel look humanitarian. So we need a systemic way of trying to deal with the progressive Democrat or social democratic issue of deprivatizing public services.
And Mojo, I'd love to follow up because I know this is a huge issue in a lot of different places, including
Yes.
my town of Indianapolis, and somebody who's battled against Duke Energy, and up in Minnesota, I know that Blackstone, the private equity investors, right, bought one of the energy companies up in Duluth, and they're trying to do the same thing with AES Energy, and so let's have that conversation offline. And I think Alan Minsky, talks about LA. I think LA is the largest municipally owned electricity company in the country, and it's the rates are way lower and way more environmentally sustainable. So let's have that conversation and see how we could build from there. So let's make sure we follow up ASAP on that.
And Barbara can now unmute. Barbara, what you got?
Well, one of the things that bothers me about all this AI stuff is the amount of water that they use. And everybody sees, oh, it's not much. It's a lot. And when you live in Eastern Oregon, water is not something you take for granted because we don't have an inordinately large fund or amount of water. And so we have to be careful. The other thing I wanted to mention is I hope that when our primary is over in May and we have someone that's going to represent the Democrats against our friend Cliff Bentz, that PDA decides that they are going to support whomever we've got. We have got to get Mr. Bentz out of office. He does nothing for the district except gather a paycheck. Ever. You don't care if you're a Republican and you need something, or you're a Democrat and you ask him to do something. Doesn't happen. He doesn't even bother to answer the phone in his district office in Medford. That's how crooked the man is. So I urge everybody, if you live in Eastern Oregon, 2nd Congressional District, get out and go vote. And when it comes time for the general election, help whatever Democratic candidate gets the nomination to beat Cliff Bentz. Whatever you do, walk 5 more blocks or 50 more blocks. I don't care, but we got to get the job done.
Awesome, Barbara. Hey, and we're going to be talking about trying to get a statewide monthly Oregon call going. So we'd love to reach out to you about that and learn more about your data center fight and all that included. So let's do that in the new year.
And David Goran in Ohio, rock star organizer. You're up.
Hi, this is Dave Goran from Akron, Ohio, and 2 issues that that haven't come up that I think we need to work on is one is reducing the military budget. I would like to reduce it by 50%, and also in terms of our endless wars. If you don't, if the way the media, the mainstream media puts it is, if you don't support all these wars, then you're isolationists. I disagree with that. I think actually, if you talk to people, if you negotiate, if you work on non-military, sanction type deals to deal with conflict, that is not isolationist. So the other issue that I think we need to support and look at is helping the poor and low-income people. In 2023, Jayapal Permilia Jayapal, she introduced the third Reconstruction Resolution, and in that is a comprehensive program in order to help the poor and low-income people, which is the poor have been totally ignored for the last 30 years or so. And I think that's important. And then the last thing I want to say is there's a corporate Democrat in Ohio that I hope PDA supports an independent candidate that has not actually committed yet, but I hope PDA can support an independent candidate against a corporate Democrat. And thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to follow up on that one, David. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And I spent some time in Akron on the Nina Turner campaigns, and got to see Bernie Sanders speak at an Akron parking lot. So love Akron, and thank you, David, for your leadership. And Happy New Year.
All right, Stephanie, and then phone banker Lois, you're on deck. Stephanie, you should be able to unmute.
Hi, everybody. Just coming to the end of the new year. So I just want to reach out and say thank you to everybody that makes PDI such a success. Here in Iowa, we've got a real great group coming together. So thank you to everybody for that. If you know somebody that wants to run for office and you have an uncontested, Republican in your state, your local races, your federal races, find somebody to run for those. We can't leave any seats on the table in 2026. I'm running here in the 4th District of Iowa, probably the reddest district in the state. But I stepped up to do that because, like I said, we can't leave seats on the table. If you want to learn more about my campaign, you can go to steinerforiowa.com. And thank you to all the wonderful candidates that are out there running as well.
And thank you to PDA Iowa and Stephanie. We've been on calls over the last year, and PDA Iowa is building a great monthly phone chapter call and some great organizing going on. PDA Iowa got the current senator, what's her name, to retire after embarrassing her, Joni Ernst, and so. PDA Iowa, just a great group of organizers and candidates. So thank you, Stephanie, for running, and Happy New Year.
And Lois, phone banker Lois up in Massachusetts. What you got, sister?
Yeah, even in the dead of winter, just after Christmas, well, actually today, a group of my friends and I did a standout on an overpass over the highway, and it was quite a bit of fun. We held our protest signs, we got honks, and it just felt good to be out there, sharing our progressive message.
Amazing. Yeah, once you get outside and start organizing, and just even in what was probably a below freezing type of day, it's 65 degrees here in Indiana, but right now, but the temperature is rapidly dropping as we speak. Lewis, are you in the Boston metro, or where were you?
No, we're in the Berkshires of Western Mass, and we're supposed to have a winter storm tonight.
Yeah, it's the bomb cyclone is coming. So be safe, and thank you, Lois, and thank you to our PDA Massachusetts, which on the 14th of January, I think there's going to be a big statewide call with Congressman Jim McGovern, one of our champions and heroes. So looking forward to that in the new year. Thank you, Lois.
And I'm tossing the link. Jim has been and our Massachusetts crew are being kind enough to invite everybody across the country to join. Jim is always inspirational. Bang, it's in the chat right now. Set aside January 14th, 7 o'clock Eastern, gang. It'll be a hoot. All right, let's get to Sharon, and then Maggie in New York, you're on deck.
Hi, thank you very much. Hi, everyone, and Happy New Year. This year I put this in the chat, too. I took a course called Introduction to Regenerative Economics. And I am really excited about this. I'm a longtime environmental educator and peace educator and activist. And I really encourage everyone to take this course, Introduction to Regenerative Economics, and or read the new book on regenerative economics that just came out a few weeks ago by John Fullerton, who's the guy who facilitates the course. And he was a Wall Street banker for 20 years and walked away from it and does a really excellent job at facilitating and creating context and bringing in history and bringing in philosophy and just really giving you the sense of, we are the future and we are the minds and the hearts that are going to have to really create a new society as this one crumbles. We're living in a polycrisis of climate crisis and the very real threat of nuclear war and all the crises we've been talking about here today. The housing crisis, the healthcare crisis, all of these things. So how can we actually use our knowledge and our experience and our talents and skills in this group to brainstorm and vision together on, what is the world going to look like going forward, and how can we shift away from this extractive mechanistic economy to one that actually is based on living systems, and so we can actually value things that haven't been valued for a long time. And so I'm just excited about that. I thought I would share that with you, and it's something that would be really positive thing to pursue in the new year. Thanks so much.
Great, Sharon. And Sharon, you're in the Pacific Northwest, and I know you're a longtime organizer and activist and supporter. So thank you so much, Sharon. I think you might be the original PDA, or is that right?
She's been muted.
Okay, so anyways, we'll thank you, Sharon, and let's go to our last couple hands.
Yep.
We'll wrap up.
Maggie's
we'll wrap
up
up at 6
and-
Eastern.
Yeah,
Hi,
Maggie's
everyone.
up. Michael, you're on deck. Be ready, and same for Nina. And then we'll close the stack, right, Mike?
Yep.
Cool.
I'm more of a pragmatist, and talking about things like AI, we can't control that. We can have opinions on it, but we can't control it. But what we can control is the people that we endorse and the people that we support and give money to. And I think that this is our golden opportunity this year, coming up in 26, to support candidates that may not normally have been able to win, but they can win in this environment because people are so upset. And I don't feel like we're devoting enough time to that. I hate to be critical. I don't mean it in a critical way. I just think that I don't know who's running in Louisiana or Mississippi or Tennessee, but I know those places are ripe for us to go after. And I think it's important that we take advantage of that. And I think it's important that we start that now. I don't know who the people are, and I'm sure in PDA, there are people that are from Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, and so on. And I mean, for that matter, I live in New York, and you've got New York 12. Dan Goldman is going to be primaried by Brad Lander. And since Jerry Nadler's retirement, now there are like 8 people that are. George Conway is running as a Democrat in New York. Is it New York 10 or 12? New York 12. And I mean, wow. I mean, this is really unbelievable. And I think that we need to really focus on the election in 2026. And I think we ought to do it now.
Thank you, Maggie, and thank you for being in New York and getting Madani elected to mayor, and obviously I think we'll endorse Brad Lander here and get our New York operation up and going. So yeah, I would love to reach out to you in the new year and work on those endorsements. I think that Afton Bain in the Tennessee District 7 that we just encountered, Afton knocked off 13, 14 points from what Trump did in that district, and I think that that's a line that we can. We know that if you're within 10 to 13 points, we have a chance of winning next in 2026, the next election. So we want to be mapping that out, and I think in the new year and starting as early as our next meeting, we're going to be really talking about endorsements and those candidates and getting things lined up, because we'll be 60 days out from 2 primaries. 3 primaries the next time we meet in the new year. So thank you, Maggie, and hopefully you can get to the inauguration here at the end of the week.
Yep. And Maggie, Thursday night campaign call. What? On the 1st of January? Yep. On the 1st of January, we'll be talking about that very thing. So everybody pile on. And then likewise, if you can't do a Thursday night, next Sunday, we'll be laying out more on all of the above. We're going to continue that blue wave. All right. We got Michael and then Nina. Michael, you should be able to unmute. Nina, you're on deck. Be ready. Michael, one more time.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Hey, how you guys doing? You rock. I'll start with golden opportunity. Yes, we have a golden opportunity. Number one, we're still paying for the Reagan administration. We went the wrong direction. As much as you want to criticize Bill Clinton had to get the soft money behind him. He wouldn't have won it all. And he's tried to do a lot of environmental stuff. And he raised taxes on the rich and balanced the budget. Yeah, he cut some social programs. He tried to work with the other side of the aisle. Of course, they wouldn't work with him. The Democratic Party rocks. It's a golden opportunity for us to take it further to, so to speak, left. Yeah, climate change is kicking our ass. We're running out of, well, we've hit peak oil. The world's oil supplies have peaked already. I studied to be a geologist. So we have a great golden opportunity. The Democratic Party rocks, corporate or non-corporate, but we have the opportunity to take it towards the progressive part. Look at Mandami; he won. He had the backing of the Democratic Party. So let's do it. I think this is a really golden opportunity for us to win majorities in both the House and the Senate, win back the White House, and then we can really take this country to the next level. That's all I got. You guys rock. Thanks for coming out today.
Thanks, Mike. And where are you based out of again?
I'm from. I used to live in. I'm from LA. I lived from here to Alaska and back. And by the way, Golden Valley Electric is a co-op up in Fairbanks, and I covered it. I covered environmental stuff when I could as a reporter. And they went net metering because it's a co-op back in 2003. I mean, look at Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter gave an hour speech about energy. I should have remembered it. I did it back in 1977 when I graduated high school, April 16th. And I'm proud I voted for him in 1980. But, let's not criticize the Democratic Party too much. Johnson expanded social programs. Jimmy Carter, tried to. He tried to get us on the right environmental footing, and we were until Reagan came elected. We're still paying for the Reagan era. It's not the Democratic Party. We've been trying to do progressive stuff all along. We've been trying to get public health insurance. FDR, Truman, Johnson expanded Medicaid, Medicare, which I'm on now. I'm 66. So let's not beat each other up. But, we have a real good opportunity to take this country back, and let's do it next year. I'm really encouraged. I've been through a lot. I'm 60. I'll be 67 in April. So, I don't know what else to say, but we have a real good opportunity to take this country back, and I think we're going to do it because Trump is kind of a blessing in disguise. It's such a disaster that people, we have a great opportunity again. I don't know how else to say it.
We got to close the door though on Trumpism for once forever. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
We'll be in touch in the new year. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Okay.
I think we're down to our last person. Is Nina going to close us out for 2026?
Yeah.
2025?
Best for last. Oh my God. Everybody, thank you for coming. Happy New Year to everybody. I will connect with Hillary. Here in Palm Beach County, we have a lot going on here. I know there are a lot of candidates running in the local races. That'll be wonderful. They're great candidates. I piggyback off what Michael just said. We can win. We can take back the House, and we will with all these House Republicans leaving. Come January, we'll see. Right now, I can count 3 or 4 in my hand. We'll see who else drops out. And great candidates. Thank you, Stephanie Steiner, and all you great people in Iowa. I am going to join the call with Jim McGovern. That'll be awesome. I also, yes, thank you, Mike Fox. I did sign up to make more calls to engage more progressives. Yes, we can do it. We can, do it. Just have faith. I'm ready. I'm engaging my family members to do this as well. Come from a house of family, do it for a friend of mine who just passed away 2 days ago, an old friend of mine here. Oh my God, who I taught with in God for 20 years ago. I've known her for 20 years. And it's sad. I got a call from my daughter in New Jersey, and that's really upsetting. And do it for everybody out there who can't be with us. And we got to do this, you know. We got to take back this country. We can do it with a House. We can do it with a Senate. Get rid of Trump. We got our friend in my own county. We got Zelensky, and we have, who else? Netanyahu coming tomorrow. So things are all crazy on the roads. But working with the immigration people here, it's like, it's unbelievable. We have to do this, folks. Let's do this, please.
Thank you, Nina.
Solidarity. Solidarity, everybody. Mike, and whoever else is still in here. Thank you for coming.
Well, it sounds like we're going to have a big road trip to Florida here as we get it organized in the new year. And so thank you, Nina. Safe New Year to you. And I think we should honor all those who we lost in 2025 and our friends and our comrades and our family members. And let's hold them up in the light as we get ready for 2026 and keep their memory burning. So thank you, Nina, for that. Mike Fox, Donna Smith, William Walter, do you want any last words as we get ready for the new year?
Hand it to Fox. I'm giving it to Fox. Love you all. Peace. Stay safe.
Yep. We're going to close down the recording here in a second. Gang, stick around for family time. We still got some goals that we need to hit. William, you got anything to add?
Just excited to get into the new year with all of you. This is, we've had some ups and we've had some downs this year, certainly, but this battle that really was launched when PDA pinged Bernie way back in 2014 to launch a new progressive movement. It's just getting started. Infrastructure isn't built overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. So once we start to see the fruits of our labor, I think the wins are going to snowball.
In 2026 is a year. It's going to be a big year for progressives. So keep on coming. Let's organize locally. And Mike Fox, you want to shut it down, and for people staying on, we'll go stop the recording.